first day at work will mainly be about settling in. It will likely start in the HR department, but make sure to check in with your hiring manager a few days before you start so you know when he or she expects you at your desk. HR generally sets up an office tour to let you know where you'll be working and helps you with your pay, tax, and benefits paperwork. This is called onboarding and might involve some training as well. In that first day paperwork, you might also see a non-disclosure or non-compete agreement. These are commonplace in technology firms where institutional knowledge and ideas are very valuable. Employers generally don't want such information shared with competitors or the public. But any employer can ask you to sign one or both, so you should understand what they are. Non-disclosure forms, known as NDAs, deal with organizational secrets or other client or product-specific information that your future employer doesn't want shared publicly. Non-compete forms generally restrict you from working for competing firms or possibly starting your own business for a period of time after you leave your employer. These are important documents, and it's a good idea to ask politely if you may inspect them in advance. And depending on the kind of job you'll be doing, you might have an employment attorney review such documents because they could potentially have an impact on the rest of your career. Plus, waiting to get such approvals on your first day of work could delay your start date, and you really don't want that. By the way, you have a right to inspect anything that lands in your file in HR, from your first day of work to several months after you leave the job, depending on federal and state law. Human Resources is also responsible for ongoing performance reviews, which are typically done on an annual basis. A typical annual review is a detailed survey that you and your manager will complete. If you both have vastly different assessments of your work, that usually indicates a problem you'll be working to solve. It's important to realize that there's a lot at stake in the annual review process, including pay increases and benefits. As a new employee, you should learn as much as you can about the annual review process and how it can affect future increases in pay and benefits. It's a perfectly reasonable question to ask once you're hired. When people hear the word termination on the job, they usually think it means being fired. In an HR context, it covers all the potential reasons an employee might leave an employer, voluntarily or involuntarily. When you leave an employer for any reason, you'll be handed paperwork that, among other things, requires you to sign your reason for termination. If you sign, that means you agree with your employer's specific reason for your departure. Why is this important? Because employers do talk to each other, and that official reason for your departure may affect your career positively or negatively if it's shared. If you're being terminated for cause, it generally means there's a specific reason you're being terminated, including some fairly negative ones: stealing, violating company policy, or some other serious misconduct. That's why you should definitely read and discuss the reason on any termination form before you sign. And if you do have questions or concerns, you should ask to delay your signature until you consult an employment attorney. This is not to alarm you or to suggest that there could be a problem. Most people leave their jobs electively with spotless records. The point is to get you to read anything you have to sign very carefully. So to wrap up, it's important to remember that human resources is a critical function within any organization. They're the starting point and the end point for your employment history with a company, organization, or agency. They manage some of the most important aspects of your working life when you're there: your pay, benefits, and your record of advancement. And they're a reminder why you should always handle yourself professionally as an employee. We're going to look next at the finance department. It's important to know that finance executives do much more than count money. They determine how all organizations grow and thrive.